India. I don't think so there's any Indian, particularly any diaspora Indian, who hasn't heard of Dr. Jaishankar. In the last 6 years that he has been foreign minister, he's changed things around a lot, but most important, he's brought an intellectual touch and a human touch to Indian foreign policy. I can't think of any better person who could articulate or project Prime Minister Modi's foreign policy better than Dr. Jaishankar. A foreign policy whose central theme has been the safety and welfare of global Indians everywhere. And so for me, it's really a pleasure to introduce Dr. Jaishankar to you. And Dr. Jaishankar, we have a community here, which is one of the oldest communities in Spain. The first wave of community which came in were businessmen from Sindh, so mostly Sindhis, and they did very well. They are today the doyens of business all over Spain, whether it's Canarias, Melilla, Ceuta, Malaga, Barcelona, even in Madrid. The second wave which came in are professionals, sector specialists, students, and a lot of new businesses. So businesses from agriculture to drones to gyrocopters to, you'll be very surprised at the kind of stuff the Indians here are doing. But I won't stay long between you and Dr. Jaishankar. On behalf of the community, sir, I would like you to please address them.
Namaskar, good evening, buenas tardes. Ambassador Patnaik, dear friends, it's really a very, very great pleasure to meet all of you this evening. I came here yesterday. I had some meetings today. I'll be going back tomorrow. That is my life. But in all of this, it's always a pleasure to spend time with the Indian community. Without that, no visit is actually ever done. So I'm really very, very thankful to you, Ambassador, for putting it together, and for all of you really taking the time out and being here with me. I have been to Spain before. I first came here about a little more than 20 years ago as a tourist, a few times actually as a tourist. It was very nice. Then I had the privilege of coming with Prime Minister Modi in 2017. I've never had the good fortune of being posted here, unlike the ambassador and my other colleagues. It's something I envy them, but what right now, in a way, I would say the context has really been President Sanchez's visit to India last year, a very successful visit, and the agreement between Prime Minister Modi and President Sanchez that we should make a special effort really to take this relationship forward. My counterpart, Foreign Minister Alvarez, and I have been meeting fairly regularly, and this is part of that. So again, as I said, very, very good to be here. It's okay if I speak in English. Would you like me to switch to Hindi? Okay, all right. I feel comfortable in both. चलिए देखते हैं अगर कहीं किसी के मन में हाँ मैं पूरा शुरू करूं या अभी तक तो ठीक है ना? हाँ तो हाँ हाँ अच्छा तो नहीं, देखिए ऐसा है कि कभी कुछ लोग हैं, सबकी आशा तो होती है, चाह होती है कि हिंदी में बोले, पर कुछ लोग हैं जिनको लगता है कि उनके समझ के लिए कभी अंग्रेजी की सुविधा भी होती है, तो कभी कभी हम लोगों को फ्लेक्सिबल भी होना चाहिए इस विषय में। तो अभी जो है आई वुड से आज मैं यहाँ स्पेन के यहाँ जो राजदूत जो हैं, स्पेन के राजदूत, उनकी सम्मेलन चल रही थी। तो मुझे जो है यहाँ के विदेश मंत्री ने निमंत्रित किया कि मैं उनको संबोधित करूं। और जो मुझे समझ है, मुझे I think it is the first time that a foreign ambassador has been invited to address the ambassadors of Spain, global ambassadors of Spain. And I would like to talk to you later why that is so, and why that should be relevant to all of you. But before that, let me also explain a little bit कि हमारे रिश्ते जो हैं उनकी आज स्थिति क्या है, वो कितनी प्रगति हुई है, चुनौती क्या है, संभावना क्या है. So I'll like to speak a little bit because आप लोग भी जो हैं इसमें हिस्सेदार हैं, साझेदार भी हैं. तो अगर हमको रिश्तों को आगे ले जाना है तो प्रयास सबसे ज़्यादा तो आप लोगों का है. हम आपको प्रोत्साहित करते हैं, पर आज जो है I would say really our relations are poised to move to the next stage. If you look at trade today, करीब 10 बिलियन यूरो का ट्रेड होता है हर साल. And there is a good possibility that this will increase. Ambassador has been telling me that a lot of new areas are today under consideration. और इसमें काफ़ी विस्तार से हम लोगों की बात भी हुई थी आज, that we are looking at areas like railways, like auto sector, clean technologies. These all offer new drones, space. These are all possibilities for greater collaboration. But there is, in a way, also developments in the world which will bring us closer. That आप जानते हैं कि आजकल दुनिया की माहौल जो है थोड़ी अस्थिरता है, अनिश्चितता है. So those countries who are close to each other, who feel that supply chains, contracts are honored, supply chains can be built, relationships can be expanded, they have the ability today really to forge closer relations. So ये जो 10 बिलियन का आज का जो व्यापार जो हो रहा है, we are very confident that ये आंकड़ा जो है in the coming days it will definitely be something which is very much higher. In all of this, I must tell you, and this did not surprise me at all, that I heard very good words for the community. क्योंकि मिनिस्टर अल्बारेस ने पूछा कि शाम को आप क्या कर रहे हैं, so I said I'm meeting the community. So he was very effusive, said that look, you have a community whose image is very good, that they are contributing to the economy, to the society. We feel that Indian talent, Indian professionals are very welcome here. It is something I hear across the world, but every time I hear it, I feel good. So I want to thank all of you that when we say, for जो foreign minister या जो हमारी जो diplomacy, जो कूटनीति होती है, what is it we try to do? We try to build the image of the country. But when that image is built by the community, जब हमारी छवि जो है भारतीय समुदाय यहाँ की बनाती है, that for us is like I would say really a big, I won't even say bonus, it is actually उसकी नींव है. It's a foundation on which we actually take forward our relationship. And I heard very good words, and I must say for me, because we have just 2 days ago come out of the Pravasi Bharati Divas celebrations in India. आप जानते हैं जनवरी 9 तारीख को हर साल ये मनाया जाता है. हर 2 साल जो है हम लोगों की भारत में सम्मेलन भी होती है इस पर. And I was very glad to note, I think this year among the Saman awardees, there is an awardee from Spain, Mr. Nahar, and I think there were also a representative from Spain who spoke on the occasion, Mr. Mehta. So on the community side, community has always been a support for Indian foreign policy. That is the case here also, and I take the opportunity to express my appreciation and gratitude. In terms of our people to people relations, इसमें दो विषय हैं जो मैं आप लोगों के ध्यान में लाना चाहता हूँ. One which, I met some people coming in who are from Barcelona. So I hope you welcome that we have a consulate there. And we have a consul general also with us today. So the fact that we have a consulate, and there will also, I believe, soon be a Spanish consulate in Bengaluru. So these are good signs. These are good signs that our relationship is deepening, and you create more, higher or bigger establishment, because you can say the business is becoming bigger. So as the relationship deepens, for us to have a consulate, and who knows where we will be further in the future, this is something which is a good development. The other development which I want to share with you is that we have decided that 2026 we will mark it as what they call, I think, a dual year, right? A dual year where we will be celebrating culture, tourism, artificial intelligence in both countries. So through 2025, we will be working hard to prepare for 2026. तो मेरी अर्ज है कि आप लोग भी अपनी तैयारी कर लीजिए. 26 में you should be preparing for a higher level of ties with much deeper cooperation. And it is something which certainly will have a long-term impact, good impact on our ties. So that is really what is happening. But I come back again to, the invitation that I got. And, when a foreign ministry of another country and ambassadors of another country ask you to come and speak to them, it is worth thinking, why is that so? And my sense is there are three reasons today. One, जो भारत की जो positioning जो है, that is something very important, that all countries in the world today, उनको लगता है कि आज की, जैसे मैंने कहा कि दुनिया की माहौल जो है, इसमें having good ties with India is in the interest of many countries. So they want to understand our positioning. The second is our capabilities, जो हमारी क्षमताएं जो हैं, तो उनको लगता है कि ये भारत एक किस्म से नया भारत है. अगर आप सोच रहे हैं कि आज हम दुनिया के इकोनॉमी हम 5वें नंबर पे हैं, सबका कहना है कि अगले कुछ सालों में ही हम 3रे नंबर पे पहुंचेंगे. और याद होगा आपको कि 10 साल पहले कि हम 10 या 11वें नंबर पे थे. तो भारत में जो आज जो प्रगति हो रही है, जिस रेट से हमारी उन्नति प्रगति जो जिस दिशा में हम जा रहे हैं, और उसमें दुनिया पहचानती इसको. तो एक है हमारी पोजीशनिंग, दूसरा विषय है आवर कैपेबिलिटीज, एंड द थर्ड इज एक्चुअली आवर आइडियाज. दैट इंडिया इज टुडे seen as contributing to a global conversation, that when the world is looking at many challenges, कहीं ना कहीं on different issues हमारे यहाँ से कुछ ideas आती हैं, कुछ initiatives आती हैं, और उसका भी मैं थोड़ा अगर आप लोग सुनना चाहेंगे, I would like to explain a little bit about that. So let me say a few words about the positioning. There are very few countries today who are in a position to talk to Russia and to Ukraine. आपने देखा होगा हाल ही में पिछले साल प्रधानमंत्री मोदी रशिया भी गए 2 बार, यूक्रेन भी गए कीव में. Who are in a position to talk to Israel and Iran. And PM Modi is able to do both. Who are in a position to be members of Quad and be members of BRICS. So this is something which is actually very unique. And it is unique because if you look at the world today, आज दुनिया में माने तनाव इतना ज़्यादा है, अलग-अलग संघर्ष हो रही हैं, युद्ध भी हो रहा है 2 जगह. It is a very polarized world. So in a polarized world, if there is a country which is able to, जो हम अपने यहाँ कहते थे, सबका साथ सबका विकास, Sabka Vishwas, we are actually able to take it into the world as well. And that is something which slowly other nations have started to understand and to value. But it doesn't have to be only a conflict. You know, हम लोगों की अध्यक्षता थी G20 जो एक गठन जो है, जो दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी टॉप 20 इकोनॉमी है, स्पेन भी उसकी मीटिंग्स पे उपस्थित होते हैं, स्पेन के प्रतिनिधि. Now, many countries have led G20. We were the one country which was able to actually get G20 to accept African Union as a member, which had been tried for many years. But others somehow did not push it or were not able to persuade. So we were able to persuade. Again, you know, आप लोगों को कोविड का समय तो याद होगा. तो now, when we look at COVID, everybody says, अरे, at least we got saved, you know, बच के आ गए, किसी तरीके से निकल गए. Everybody thought, I got out of it. And we understand, it's natural, स्वाभाविक है. But we are one of the few countries where if you go around the world, there are 100 countries, 99 countries in the world who say, if I got my vaccine, it was because of India. So even in very difficult situations, even with Spain, I will tell you, you know, I remember President Sanchez having a phone call with Prime Minister Modi about hydroxychloroquine supply. So whatever we had, whatever we made, there was a willingness to do something for the world with us. So this positioning, that in difficult issues, in very hard times, there is this country called India, which is able to talk to different parties, which is willing to help other parties, which may have, because I tell people, आज भी मैंने कहा, we are a country still with average Indian earns 3,000 euros a year. The average income in this part of the world is what, 45,000, 15 times that. So it is not a question of money or resources. At the end of the day, it is a question of heart and mind. That those who have the ability, the thinking, the sympathy to do something for the world, and those who have the credibility to become a bridge. So one reason I think today, which I could see, they wanted to understand in India, which was willing to do this. The second issue, जैसे मैंने आपको कहा था कि वो श्रमता का विषय है. And the fact is today we are almost a $4 trillion economy. You know, we are doubling at a faster and faster rate. वो तो होता है वो progression. It is not automatic. But if you look at the changes today in India, I don't know how many of you go to India, how frequently. I would say at least in 2 years, everybody would have gone. 3 years? 3 years. तो अब अगली बार जब आप जाएंगे, अगर 3 साल बाद भी जाएंगे, to your whichever is your home place, wherever you get down, wherever you travel to your home, I guarantee you, you will see the difference. And you will see the difference because actually the rate of change in India today is amazing. और हम लोग जो वहाँ रहते हैं, we have actually we've adjusted to that rate of change. Even though 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that rate of change could not have been imagined. So when we, I think it was at the meeting with the minister today, हम लोग highways और रेल की बात कर रहे थे. And I told him that, you know, we have a not idea, we have a plan to every year make 4,000 kilometers of new railway track every year. Now, it is not, आप कहेंगे, okay, he is just saying it. We are doing it. Every day in our country, between 12 to 14 kilometers of new railway track is being made. Think about it. Every day, 28 kilometers of highway is being built. That if you look at airports, because all of you, when you go to India, samay nahi hota, you are in a hurry, you will travel to your hometown. In the last 10 years, the number of airports in our country has doubled. From 75 airports, we are now in excess of 150 airports. In many cities, which some of you would be coming from, पहले मेट्रो के बारे में सुनते थे, अब बन रहा है या बन चुका है. The number of metros have grown from 6 in 2014 to 21 today, and we have a plan to take it to 60. 60 cities of India will have a metro. So when this is not the India which they normally hear about, read about, think about. This was not our image before. Now it's reflected in other areas, जो business के दुनिया से जो आते हैं, they see today that business is that much smoother. I see some of you nodding your heads. I hope this has been your experience as well. And so when a country like Spain thinks of India, they क्षमता तो देखते हैं, पर वो डिमांड भी देखते हैं. उनको पता है इतनी ग्रोथ है तो उतने ज्यादा कंज्यूमर है, उतने ज्यादा कंज्यूमर है तो उतनी ज्यादा डिमांड बढ़ती है. And for everything in India today, it may be Zara, it may be Yadro products, that today India has become a major market in the eyes of other countries. The Indian consumer also. So the Indian business counts, the Indian consumer counts, the Indian exporter counts. So in their overall scheme of things, when they look at the future, they see today some new phenomenon happening out there. And again, I'm giving you some figures on infrastructure. But probably the biggest change in India, and that may not be so easy perhaps to understand when you live outside India, because ज़्यादातर जो है हम लोग शहर के लोग हैं, तो हमें पता है, मोटा मोटा पता है कि शहरों में क्या हो रहा है. अगर आप शहर के बाहर जाएंगे ना, the change there is even more interesting. In the last 10 years, we have actually built and given 40 million homes to people of low income. 40 million homes is almost the size of the 40 into 5, because the average Indian family is 5. That is 4 times the population of Spain. If you take any program today, if you look at health, kuch saal pehle we started this program called Ayushman Bharat. Today, 1/3 of India means 400 million people, which means almost 9 or 10 times the population of Spain, is covered by free health or subsidized health. हम क्या वो जो आपने सुना होगा, this gas cylinder, people used to use firewood. The number of beneficiaries of that are actually 110 million people, 110 million kitchens, not people. So now when they look at these figures, because these are not readily apparent, the underlying factor is apparent to them, that somewhere all of this is happening because also in India, लोग जो हैं सरकार पर पब्लिक भी टेक्नोलॉजी का प्रयोग कर रहे हैं. कि आज आप सब लोग उठ के वो देखते हैं ना हाथ में फोन, whole life, I mean, none of us can last 10 minutes today without checking on the phone. I mean, this is true. So you put down your phone immediately as soon as I said it. But fact is, today, because data is cheap, because we have the amount today the number of towers is high, the OFCs are built, data is cheap, efficiency, business efficiency hai. So when you look even at today cashless payments, जब लोग UPI की बात करते हैं, हम जो हैं महीने में 16 बिलियन UPI के कैशलेस ट्रांजैक्शंस करते हैं. So America does 4-5 in a year. We do 16 in a month. So, and it is not, it is not the educated, well-off, middle-class person in the city who is doing it. जैसे कि मैंने कहा कि आप शहर को छोड़ के बाहर रोड में जाइए, वो रेडी वाला भी करता है. And that is deep change, because when people of even low income start embracing technology, when they start using new tools in their daily life, and beyond the point, people don't even think it is new. उनको अब लगता है कि भाई शुरू से ये फोन और ये कैशलेस ट्रांजैक्शन, आजकल लोग जो हैं पैसे नहीं रखते अपने पास. And they have forgotten. 4-5 साल पहले that was not the case. So this change which you see, this capability, and this then becomes reflected in big things you see. So when we say, we went, Chandrayaan-3 landed on the south side of the moon. Or if you say, we were the most efficient producers of vaccine. Not only producers of vaccine, normally हम लोग जो हैं वैक्सीन के क्यू में आखिरी नंबर होता था हमारा. This time we were producing ahead of other people. We made our own vaccine also. So, or if you look at area like telecom, our 2G, 3G, 4G was all imported. But when it came to 5G, actually we created our own 5G stack. So people see today things coming out of India. But when we speak about capabilities, I can tell you one capability which all the other countries, and particularly I can tell you by experience, other foreign ministers and other diplomats register. They note how we look after our community. And that has also been a very big change. Because one thing is to have capability. Other is to have the willingness to apply it. And when you had these examples, जो यूक्रेन में, the truth was, जब युद्ध शुरू हुआ यूक्रेन में, most countries, even developed countries, basically said, भाई हमने कहा था कि होने वाला है, अब आप फंस गए हैं वहाँ. Now it's your problem. You have to figure out a way of getting out. So very, very few countries actually did, forget the scale, did actually the kind of operations that we did. ज्यादातर लोग जो हैं उन्होंने राम भरोसे छोड़ दिया था. And to do it for 20,000 people within a matter of a few days, अब दुनिया उसको जरूर पहचानती, और उससे there are lessons which people learn, and it is not one-off. So it has, I give you Ukraine. अब हाल ही में we had a situation year and a half ago in Israel, or we had in Sudan. So one of the reasons why ambassador said that we today take better care of our community. Yes, that is true. But why is that? It is so for 3 reasons. Number 1, because of greater capability. Number 2, because as I said, technology. That मुझे अगर पता होना चाहिए हमने कहाँ हैं लोग, क्या हैं, उनका passport number क्या है, how do I? So I have the ability today to track you. But eventually it needs the third thing. It needs a leader who says that the people, Indian community, Indian citizens, people of Indian origin who live outside are an asset to the country, and if they are an asset, we should be looking after you. It needs that leadership as well. And it is a combination of those 3 today which has actually created a new diaspora policy. The third aspect, as I said, is that of ideas. And आप हैरान होंगे that, when you look at it, the kind of ideas today which have actually made an impact. सब लोग soft power की बात करते हैं. You hear even in this country, Spain has had huge, great tradition, arts of various kinds, music, dance. If you look in the last many, many years, in your memory, the soft power initiative which has had the maximum impact anywhere in the world, it is actually International Day of Yoga. आज देखिए 10 साल पहले लोग करते थे, अलग देशों में योगा स्टूडियोज या योगा इनिशिएटिव्स, ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस होती थी. But today, actually on International Day of Yoga, we start from easternmost point, Pacific Islands or Japan, New Zealand, Australia. And we track that yoga as the sun moves around the world. And I would say there is not a single country in the world today where yoga is not performed, where it is not celebrated, where it doesn't gain. And in fact, I would say maximum, जब भी आप किसी से मिलते हैं, in fact now it has become standard conversational opening कि भाई आप क्या करते हैं, मैं क्या करता हूँ, which works for you, which works for me. And it has become actually like a kind of a subject to bond. Now, that's not the only idea. हम renewables, climate की बात करते हैं. We know renewables is the answer. So, countries are building the solar energy program. We are also building ours in a very big way. But if you see which country took the initiative, कि पूरे दुनिया में एक movement बनाए, एक organization बनाए, so that the countries which did not have the capacity were also helped to go solar. Again, that was Modi ji's idea in International Solar Alliance in Paris. Then I give you a very different example. दुनिया में आपदाएं आती हैं, typhoon, earthquake. Lot of it is climate, from climate causes. Now, everybody has a problem. कुछ मुसीबत होती है, countries try to help each other. हम लोग जो हैं, आपने देखा होगा तुर्की में भूकंप आया था, we sent people. नेपाल में क्या था, कहीं मोजाम्बिक में बाढ़ आई थी, यहाँ म्यांमार वहाँ तूफान आया था. So people do that. But if there was an initiative in the world कि हम सब मिलजुल के, let us create an organization to build standards and practices and capabilities to deal with this. Again, it came from India, Prime Minister Modi's disaster resilience idea. So it could be disaster, even something like lifestyle, the idea that we change our individual lifestyle. We all run cars. The idea that we use, आजकल जो है, we use the amount of ethanol in our fuel has gone up. And we are propagating use of ethanol because it is more climate friendly than others. Digital, हम digital की बात करते हैं. We have made progress, but now we are helping other countries to do something similar. So for us today, this combination, what is our position, what is our capability, what are our ideas, this is what makes Bharat interesting for the rest of the world. So जब हम सोचते हैं ना कि why Bharat matters, these are reasons why Bharat matters. And when Bharat matters, लोग आपको बुला के आपकी बात सुनना चाहते हैं. आपकी बात सुनना चाहते हैं क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं उनके मन में है, there is something to learn, it is important also to relate, और क्या पता ये लोग कहीं काम आए. These are actually today the sentiments of the world about us. But finally, as I said, any country is, defined by what happens at home. Usually हम लोग जो हैं इकोनॉमी की बात करते हैं, कहते हैं कि ग्रोथ रेट हमारा 7% है, जैसे मैंने ये आंकड़े दिए हैं आपको. Sometimes we forget what are regular things, natural things which happen because we get used to it. One of the things which happens in our country, which happens on a scale which has never happened before, but we still get used to it, is democracy. आप सोचिए what it is like to conduct an election with 1 billion voters. Not just conduct an election. चुनाव के दौरान क्या क्या कहा जाता है. When the result comes out, how naturally and responsibly and with what grace and consensus we accept it. That we take today the working of Indian democracy as natural. It is natural to us. But please look around the world and see the divisions and the accusations and the tensions which take place across the world in people's political systems. So I would also say that when we do things, it's important to talk about it. So my message to you today is, please do, one is something you're all doing, which is projecting our image by example. I always tell people कि दुनिया में जब लोग किसी देश के बारे में सोचते हैं, what is a country at the end of it all? It's a name. If you've studied geography, it is a map. But in the end of the day, it is actually a person from the country you met. When anybody in Spain talks of India or Indians, in their mind, there is a face. It is one of you. It is something good or bad that you have done. It is that image, that experience, which for them is India. And my sense is today, if our image in the world is rising, it is today so strong, if people think so well about us, when across the world, very frankly, आप जानते हैं कि, there is so much, feeling about immigration, but people still speak well about Indians. उनको लगता है we are performing people, we are contributing people, we are responsible people. हमारी जो मेहनत, वर्क एथिक जो है, we are family centric people, ये हमारी छवि, और ये छवि आप लोगों ने बनाई. So my first message to you is, keep projecting by example. My second message is, please make your friends, your colleagues at work, your customers, your suppliers, जिनके साथ आपका contact है, please get them as much as possible in a natural way to understand and appreciate India. I'm not asking you कि पकड़ के lecture देना है, but when you talk to them, get them interested. Get them interested, if wherever possible, if you can get them even to visit India. You will be doing a country a great service, because for us, I would say the more people who come to India, who know India, who follow the changes, because sometimes people's understanding बहुत पुरानी सोच होती है भारत के बारे में. We want them to understand all the changes. And the third, please remain in touch with India, which I know, as I said, everybody is constantly in touch. But remain in touch means also, please follow, the debates which are happening in India, the conversations which are happening in India. हमारे यहाँ, we are people, we argue about things, we discuss things, but at the end of the day, when you tell people how many languages we speak, how many states there are, how many faiths there are, and then we all when at the end of the day we all still come together on everything that is important, that we are in many ways actually an example to the world, that आज यहाँ European Union की बात हो रही है. Think about it. We have been a union for 5,000 years. So to the extent we are able today to get the world to understand, get the world to have that good feeling about us, you will be helping your country. And again, as I said, for us, you are an invaluable asset. हमारे लिए, and particularly, and I say this, I have been all my working life in foreign policy. The biggest change I have seen in the last 10 years is the importance that India, government of India, people of India have put on the contribution of the diaspora. And to that, very honestly, I would say Prime Minister Modi is singularly responsible for it, that he has made many of us understand really how valuable a connect or a bridge you are to the world. So, as always, I thank you for your services. I thank you for doing what you are doing. And I can always say that the country is always with you. You have seen that. I don't really need to say that. And it's, again, a very, very great pleasure for me to have this opportunity to be with you. So, Ambassador, I think that is perhaps a good note to conclude. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for those inspiring words. I just wanted to tell you something about the community here, sir. We have people from all faiths, all religions, all parts of India. But I've seen one of the few communities which really get along well with each other. So we don't have some of the problems which we face in other countries, because here I find all faiths work together, be it Hindu, Sikh, Christian, Muslim, all faiths. So that is one of the few things you can all be proud of. The other thing is Dr. Jaishankar will be willing to take a few questions. What I would ask is, please raise your hands. When I call you, identify yourselves and then ask the question. Please don't make too many comments. Ask a question. The gentleman there. Yeah, get up.
Good evening, Dr. Jaishankar. It's a pleasure to have this opportunity. My name is Abhimanyu. First of all, Dr. Jaishankar, I would like to say that you've sort of unknowingly played a part in me being here today. I'm a student at one of the top MBA programs here in Spain, which is known for a rigorous application process. I was asked to name 3 world leaders from 3 different continents that inspire me the most, and your name was obviously the first one that came to my mind. Right, sir, but coming to the question that I wanted to always ask you, sir, I've followed your work for more than a year now, and what I've noticed is that in many ways you have the most tough and challenging corporate job in the world, where you're representing more than 1 billion Indians on a platform where every word that you say, every argument that you make, every body language gesture that you have is under extreme scrutiny by the media, by journalists and everyone, sir. But somehow, in every situation, you always have a cool, collected, befitting reply, perfectly articulated, waiting in your chamber. Sir, I wanted to know, through your career, how have you developed this skill and how have you worked on it?
Look, what can I say? You know, to some degree, experience is in any line of work. You know, if somebody is in business, somebody is a banker, you are a or a IT person, anybody who's been doing something over a period of time gets more confident, gets more experience. We all grow. To some extent, I would also say it depends on if you have been given that latitude and that freedom ki, your and I enjoy that. I mean, in a sense, I have a prime minister who sets the goals and gives you the flexibility, the latitude to do that. But to be very honest with you, sometimes it is the mood of the society that we capture. What is the feeling? If I sit with all of you and there is a feeling among you, whether I like it or not, मेरे मन में तो होता है that this is what my country or my society feels about an issue. So often when I say things, I may be the person saying it, but you are actually the person thinking it. And somehow by mixing, hearing, I've kind of absorbed that. So look, our country is also changing. I mean, we have been through a period where we were smaller. We had to listen to countries lecturing us. Sometimes countries would even act against our interest. हमें बर्दाश्त करना पड़ता था. Now slowly those changes are coming. If the changes are coming, somebody needs to articulate it and make people understand, bhai zamana badal gaya hai, we are now in a different league and in a different position. So we are all to some degree creatures of our times.
Next, Manjula. Yeah, okay. We'll take 2 to 3 questions at a go. First, Manjula here. Then we have 2 mics, right?
Good evening, sir. My name is Manjula. I'm a professor here. My question is you just said that we should be in constant touch with the country and listen to and read about and be in touch in general. So for us Indians who hold an Indian passport and have been here for a very long time, when would we have the occasion to give our opinion in an election? When can we vote? Because many of us want to do that, but we don't have the opportunity to go back home.
As a citizen?
Yes, as a citizen.
Indian citizen.
Indian citizen, yes. Thank you very much.
For the bearded gentleman there. Archana.
नमस्ते आदरणीय विदेश मंत्री जी. सबसे पहले तो आपको मैं जन्मदिन की शुभकामनाएं दूंगा. 2-3 दिन पहले ही था. मेरा नाम सुरेंद्र बैरागी है. मैं हिंदू स्वयंसेवक संघ बार्सिलोना से आया हूं. तो भारत का सौभाग्य है कि आप जैसा विदेश मंत्री भारत को मिला और आप 100 साल जिए, 200 साल जिए, हमेशा ही हमारा ये मन है, ऐसा भाव है. मेरा स्पेसिफिक प्रश्न ये है आपसे कि बार्सिलोना से भारत के लिए कोई फ्लाइट नहीं है सालों से. तो अगर ऐसा संभव हो सके तो भारत के लोग इसका फायदा ले सकते हैं. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
One more question there at the back. सरदार जी बैठे हैं ना, आप खड़े हो जाइए. क्या अर्चना.
सबसे पहले आपको नमस्कार. मोस्ट वेलकम इन स्पेन. मैं निवेदन करना चाहता हूं क्योंकि हम सभी धर्मों के लोग इंडिया में रहते हैं. बखरे बखरे सूबों से लोग आते हैं. हमारा निवेदन है आपसे कि हम पंजाब से हैं. 30 साल से इधर रह रहे हैं. एम्बेसी का काम देख रहे हैं. हमारे बहुत रिलेशन अच्छे हैं एम्बेसी के साथ. सभी के लिए बहुत अच्छे काम करते हैं. सभी की प्रॉब्लम हल करते हैं. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद है पूरी एम्बेसी का. एम्बेसडर साहब का विशेष तौर से आपका धन्यवाद है. आपने टाइम निकाल के हमको टाइम दिया है आज. मेरा जो एक निवेदन है आपसे, जो पंजाब के किसान हैं वो हमेशा ही प्रॉब्लम में रहते हैं. किसी ना कहीं अभी फिर बॉर्डर पे धरना देकर बैठे हैं. क्यों नहीं हम उनका कोई, आप गवर्नमेंट हैं, आप कोई अच्छा तरीके से कोई हल निकालें, कोई बातचीत करें उनके साथ. क्योंकि अच्छा नहीं लगता उसको लोग गलत तरीके से, कोई हम धर्म की बात बना देता है, कोई किसको बात बना देता है. मसला कोई और होता है पर बाद में कोई बना और देते हैं. तो हमारा निवेदन है उनसे को जरूर हल करिए जो मसला है पंजाब का. जी थैंक यू सो मच.
Thank you, Mr. Jaishankar, for coming here. Thank you for coming here and talking to us. I am a student. I came here as a student. Now I am a researcher here. So I work in robotic surgery in a university in Spain. So my specific question is that what steps the government is taking to create more opportunities for the researchers, Indian researchers abroad who wants to go back to India and contribute to the India's growth.
Good evening, Dr. Jaishankar. So my question is, my name is Gaurav Sharma. So last October, President Sanchez visited India and met our Prime Minister Sri Modi. Both leaders recognized the vital importance of innovation and startup ecosystem in driving forward the bilateral relation and call for such opportunities to be explored in mutual interest. So although there are existing frameworks such as Rising Up in Spain and Startup India initiative, like how can we as entrepreneurs engage with the embassy to nurture such ecosystem for collective growth for both countries? Thank you.
Can I go? So, starting, with your question, as I understood it, your concern was, as an Indian citizen, you want the ability to vote abroad, and because you have, of course, the possibility of going back home and voting because you are in the electoral list. So, look, here is the challenge. Today, roughly speaking, there are somewhere between 18 to 20 million Indians, Indian nationals. Not there are totally about 35, 36 million Indians and people of Indian origin living abroad. Roughly 50% are nationals and roughly 50% are citizens of another countries. So the suggestion you are making is really to organize an electoral process for about 20 million people, which has to be done across 195 countries, because you cannot, give facility in one country and not in another country. I think that is in itself, as you can see, 195 countries, that many people dispersed across, where is a challenge. Now, some countries do it because the numbers are much smaller, and also sometimes the expatriate population are limited to a few countries. So in a few countries, you have a thing that they can go to an embassy and vote. Now, if given our scale, let us say, if I were to, even in Spain, if I were to tell Mr. Patnaik, please receive 75,000 people, voters tomorrow, he will have a minor problem. There will be the ambassador in Saudi Arabia who will have to do it for 3 million people, will have more than a minor problem. So it is much harder in a way. Look, I understand the sentiment. People want to vote. People want to be part of the process of change. So it's something which we will have to reflect on. It's not really an issue for which I have a ready answer because of the scale and the complexity of it. जो आपका जो सवाल जो है बैरागी जी, जो आपने तो बार्सिलोना की बात की, पर मैं मैड्रिड का भी करता हूं कि आज आप जानते हैं कि हमारे यहाँ जो एयरलाइंस जो हैं सब प्राइवेटाइज हो चुकी हैं. अब पिछले सालों में हम एक देश हैं जहां एविएशन सेक्टर जो है अच्छी खासी चल रही है, कि अगर आप देखें कि करीब करीब हमारा लोड फैक्टर अच्छा है, हमारे एयरपोर्ट बन रहे हैं, एयरलाइंस जो हैं सब प्रॉफिट में हैं. पर हमारी एक दिक्कत है अभी, और वो दिक्कत है अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ एयरक्राफ्ट. कि अगर आप देखें बिटवीन एयर इंडिया एंड इंडिगो, इन्होंने करीब करीब दुनिया में 1000 नए एयरक्राफ्ट ऑर्डर किए थे, पर उनको तुरंत वो 1000 एयरक्राफ्ट मिल नहीं रहे. तो हर साल कुछ नए एयरक्राफ्ट आते हैं, जैसे आते हैं उनको वो सर्विस पे लगा देते हैं. अब इतना तो मैं एग्जैक्टली बार्सिलोना का तो मैं नहीं कह सकता, पर मुझे इतना जरूर पता है, क्योंकि मैं एयरलाइन से कभी कभी बात करता हूँ, कि उनके मन में है कि यूरोप के साथ एयर सर्विसेज कैसे बढ़ाएं, क्योंकि ये एक अच्छा सेक्टर है. यहाँ माने प्रेडिक्टेबल सेक्टर है, यहाँ कस्टमर डिमांड भी है, जो और पेइंग कस्टमर्स भी हैं। तो मुझे जरूर माने उम्मीद तो है कि जैसे जैसे एयरक्राफ्ट आएंगे, क्योंकि आज इसी विषय पे हमारी चर्चा हुई थी, तो यहाँ की जो एयरलाइन जो है, आई थिंक एरो इबेरिया, हाँ हाँ हाँ, तो ये मैंने कहा, उनको कहा कि कम से कम अपने यहाँ से तो आप स्टार्ट कर लीजिए, पर मुझे जरूर विश्वास है कि ओवरऑल यूरोप में हमारी एयरलाइंस की सर्विसेज बढ़ेंगी, स्पेन में जरूर बढ़ेगा, और बार्सिलोना जैसा शहर जहाँ माने इतने लोग जाते हैं, अब हमारा कॉन्सुलेट भी है, एक किस्म से माने जाना माना शहर है, तो मुझे जरूर विश्वास है कि होगा। आपने मुझे कहा तो मैं जरूर एक बार दोनों एयरलाइन को जाकर, मैं आपकी ओर से मैं ये निवेदन करता हूँ, और मेरी ओर से मैं थोड़ा इस पर वजन भी डाल देता हूँ। जो किसान का विषय जो आपने कहा, देखिए आप, ये जटिल विषय है, क्योंकि आप जानते हैं कि जो मुद्दे जो हैं इतने आसान नहीं है। सरकार की ओर से मैं जरूर आपको कह सकता हूँ, क्योंकि मैं मंत्रिमंडल का सदस्य हूँ, मुझे पता है कि जो भी मंत्रिमंडल में जो बातचीत जो होती है, संसद में जो बातचीत होती है, वो बहुत सकारात्मक होती है कि भाई हम इन लोगों की मदद कैसे करें। आपने देखा है कि एमएसपी का रेट जो है वो बढ़ चुका है, और सरकार की ओर से तो जरूर प्रयास होता है, पर क्या होता है कि कभी कभी ये विषय जो है ये एक थोड़ा राजनीतिक विषय बन जाता है, और आपका कहना जो है कि एक बार बन जाए फिर कुछ और भी एजेंडा साथ जुड़ जाते हैं, ये जरूर चिंताजनक है। पर इतना मैं जरूर आपको कह सकता हूं कि सरकार की तो आशा है, सरकार की, हमारा लक्ष्य है कि जो जितना सम्मान आज किसानों को देश में मिलता है, ये मैं कह सकता हूं इसमें कोई कमी नहीं है, और जरूर किसानों की जो उनके जो विषय जो हैं, उनका मुद्दा जो है, इस पे जरूर सरकार जो है इस पर प्राथमिकता देगी। जो अगला, योर क्वेश्चन, द रिसर्चर क्वेश्चन, how do we today get researchers to contribute and be in touch with India? In a sense, an embassy is a facilitator. It's a channel. I mean, remember, the embassy itself is an embassy at the end of the day. It's not an academic institution. So what an embassy can do is, it's like if you plug in there, the embassy can direct you somewhere. So where can they direct you? I would say 2-3 suggestions come to my mind. You know that today we have a much greater emphasis on a national research foundation, which will actually function like a motivator of research and innovation in the country. To some extent, I would say it is actually a startup environment. And startup environment, a large part of it is outside the government. These are, young people or not so young people who have ideas, and the culture of the country today is very different. I'll tell you something very interesting. I go around a reasonable amount to educational institutions in India. So usually, minister comes, everybody is on very good behavior. They want to impress you. It's natural. 20 years ago, suppose when I was in school, or even when my children were in school, if a minister came, you would take the best 5 students and say, okay, these are gold medalists, they get 99% marks. Today, you know who I meet? They will ask me to meet 10 people and say, these 10 people hold patents in our country. Those 5 people have innovations. In fact, very often when I go to universities, they say, please, you can give your lecture, etc. Please spend 1 hour. We want you to show you an exhibition of what our university has done in the field of patents and innovation. So our own system, our own mentality today is changing. That the person who's able to show the success of an idea is given a respect in an educational institution, not by the marks that they may have got. I don't know how they did in class, but I'm happy that they're already being subjected to like a real life test. So a lot of it is really getting connected into that world. And to that end, one of the things we are trying to do, and with Spain as well, that where Prime Minister encourages hackathons between countries. It's a way of connecting community of young people willing to look for solutions in an unorthodox way. Also to connect up the startup events of different society. There is a big learning out there. But I do think at the end of the day, the solution is really in a peer group answer. An embassy can help. It can provide information. It can connect you. But it is an area where you have to look at your own environment. And the last issue, in a way, relates to the startup. Look, today India's startup culture is very, very. I mean, it's in a good word. It's a very aggressive culture. That the kind of energy, the number of people involved, the kind of respect that they get from the overall society. That is something which has been a very, very big part of the change. And I've actually, I went once to after Chandrayaan mission. There is a institute called I think it's called ISST, or I forget the exact. It's like a space technology institution where people are getting their degrees. It's in Trivandrum itself. Okay, I was amazed to see students who are still doing their degrees, who have actually invented something which has actually been put in a spacecraft. That's today the level of how much faith there is in the startup culture, in the innovation culture. And part of the reason, why we are looking at interesting growth options, we can actually jump 1 or 2 generations. That use of drones, there is a big program. It's called Drone Didi. Okay, Drone Didi is to teach teenage girls how to use drones in rural areas so that they become effective drone operators who can actually help the community and help the farmers in that. Or you have practices from environmental issues to fertilizer issues, where actually we are seeing innovation of a very, very radical kind. Even space program, if you look at the space program, look at the demographic. Next time you see a set of people talking space, look at their age. It's very impressive, because we used to look at people in the 40s and 50s as the leaders of the space program. Today it's easily 20 years younger, and that to me is a great hope for our country. You can take one more.
Well, I don't think so, sir. No, I'm sorry. Even though Dr. Jaishankar is willing to take more, I cannot stop him. So this will be the end. We will not take any more questions. Thank you very much for being present here. You're a community we are all proud of. And like Dr. Jaishankar said, keep on projecting India, as much as you can. And on behalf of the community, sir, we'd like to thank you for taking out time to meet them. And thank you very much, and have a great year. Thank you very much.